I've been coming down to the beach for sunrise-ish for a week or so. I haven't filmed them because it's been my time. And I've got quite some interesting shots. And this morning I had a little bit more time. I thought maybe I'll put this to video. So I'm doing that. Yeah, come along down the beach with me. Now, if you follow the channel, you'll probably be aware that I don't often do well on beaches, or rather, perhaps that's a perception. And I think also my perception of my own ability in photography on a beach is a relatively poor one. Whether or not that's true, I'm probably not qualified to be the judge. Maybe you could let me know what you think of the shots in this video, or indeed other videos that I've shot at the beach, particularly this beach. I was here March time perhaps, when I was saying that I had a particular problem at this beach. For anyone that's not following tide times and such, one of the things you need to realise is that obviously we have high and low tides, but the time at which we get those high and low tides moves every day. It tends to move by about 45 minutes to an hour, and kind of backwards, so to speak. So 5 or 6 days ago, the water was high here at this time in the morning, and now you can see it's relatively low, but it is still quite fierce. And yesterday we had a storm roll through here, one of the first named storms of the autumn, and it was pretty wild. Not that I can necessarily tell a lot from it here, but you know, bits of foam like that remaining up beyond the defences here probably is a bit of an indication. I didn't come out yesterday morning, and that's because the storm was raging quite something. And whilst obviously there are massive opportunities, photographic opportunities, during times of heavy wind or strong wind, and I wouldn't say it was heavy rain, but it was just persistent. It was almost horizontal, and I just didn't fancy it. Actually, to give you an idea of how fierce the storm must have been, all of these rocks, and I'm not talking small stones here, you know, there's things like that. This whole area is absolutely full of them, and 2 days ago it wasn't. 2 days ago, give you a really good idea, this beach access, these steps here that have been cordoned off, you couldn't get to this lower. Let me get up here. This lower step at what is now the beach here was about knee height. So there's about 2 foot of material being just dropped up here by that storm. That's quite something. Now, what is it that I like about getting out early in the morning? And when I say early, it's 7 o'clock now, something like that. So we're not talking stupid o'clock, whilst I can do stupid o'clock, and in actual fact I could have done stupid o'clock today. Yeah, I woke up at 4 and didn't get back to sleep. But the benefit of coming out so early anywhere for sunrise, so long as you don't have blanket low level cloud, the benefit of getting up is that if you can see the sky, and let's face it, unless you're in prison, you can see the sky, you can get a great view of something going on. A little bit of cloud, actually quite a lot of cloud here. You can see where the sun is roughly over there, where we're going to see some very interesting light coming up over there. But crucially on the beach, what we also get, because this is the east coast of England, is we get light hitting these groins. And when the light really catches those, kind of soft or even direct light, they change dramatically and you get some amazing, amazing textures off them. Just have a look at a couple that I've shot at different times throughout the last year or so to get an idea of what the morning sun on these looks like.
Wish that I could stay, wish for this moment to never go away. But it's all in my mind, and though I know that there is nothing to find, you're a beautiful sight in the summer night.
Of course, I do need to emphasise and really strongly that you don't need to be on a beach to take advantage of that morning sun hitting things. Some wonderful gold diffuse light hitting the side of a building can be just as impressive photographically. The same can be said with side light hitting trees. I don't want anyone saying, well, you're on a beach, you're going to get good shots. That really isn't the case. There's indeed a shot from last week's video where I was probably trying too hard and completely missed it, is very much in evidence. So you've already seen one or two shots I've taken from this beach over the last week or so, and I want to say that these videos do put quite a lot of pressure on me and yeah, YouTubers, and video makers and vloggers, because, well, unless you meticulously plan something, and well, that's not really what I do, not for these at least, unless you meticulously plan something, you can't guarantee that you're going to get a shot. It's more a case of stumbling upon something and finding something, shooting it and hoping that you have a great shot that you can put in an image, in a video. But all too often that doesn't happen, and sometimes videos just get completely cold because of it. You hit this, oh bugger, I failed wall, and you just can't get the enthusiasm back. And you just kind of bin it, and if you're lucky, you might come back to it in a few weeks or a month or so and say, actually it wasn't that bad, I can make something of that. Which I did with this video that's up in the corner, up here somewhere. There. But it doesn't stop you feeling deflated. So my point is that in this video I'm not going to guarantee to shoot anything, because I've got a few good shots already from this beach at sunrise, at high water earlier this week, and I'm more than happy to show and talk about those rather than get shots while I'm out right now. Now, I know that long exposure is not everybody's cup of tea, but it's one of the things I do when I'm faced with moving water. I just like the effect. If you don't, let me know in the comments. This concrete block really just stood out as a foreground item. Ugly as it is, it works well here. Sorry, but it's another long exposure. I think this one was about 2 minutes, and what I like about these really long exposures, particularly around things that are multifaceted, is just the ghostly appearance. One of the things that we often get hung up with in situations like this, where we've got big open spaces and such, is to often try to put too much into a shot. We tend to overcomplicate it. And whilst I'm not a massive fan, no, fan's the wrong word, I enjoy minimalism in photography, I really do. I just don't always seem to be able to produce it myself. And I think my kind of minimalism is very minimalist, whereas say Tom Heaton would produce a minimalist shot with more in it than I would. And yeah, no, it's just a comparison. I like bold shapes and patterns. I'm drawn to those things, but they can be so complicated, such as the groins over here, or indeed, I don't know why I turned for that, because they were behind me anyway, weren't they? But the groins and such, they are remarkably complicated things. And if you get your positioning wrong with them, you get kind of uprights hiding behind other uprights. It's like shooting trees in a forest, you know. You need to get some kind of separation, otherwise it just becomes a kind of mess. So position on those is really awkward. What I particularly like is these kind of castellations as part and parcel of the sea defences. And it's when you get those, I find that you can really create a wonderful kind of minimalist shot with some man-made objects at the beach. But I wouldn't dare shoot it like it is here, because it's just too messy. There's way too much pebbles and stones and footprints and everything around it. It's a visual mess. But a few mornings ago, when the tide was in, that was rather different. So the sun is now coming up beyond the clouds, and what I've seen is a shot that might work, it might not. Just had a couple of the dog walk past me, and I haven't got the main camera out, so using the Osmo Pocket, I snapped a couple of shots of them walking past with the sun catching these beach huts and such. I don't know whether it's come out. I never used the Osmo Pocket for photography before, but it was in my hand because I was videoing it, and it just struck me that it might be a nice shot. Might be crap, don't know. Have a look.
Of course, it isn't a nice shot. At best, it's a snap, and none of us are immune to doing this kind of thing. The idea was okay, the execution wasn't great. Had I been more ready with the real camera, then perhaps the outcome would have been better.
So the shot I was thinking of just didn't work out. I got sidetracked with the people walking past, and one of the stresses and strains and struggles of shooting at this time of the day and trying to film something as well is that that thing there, lighting, well, producing my my shadows here, doesn't wait for you. So yeah, if you try to set up a shot or get yourself into position or put the lens on the camera that's suitable, because that one wasn't, you miss shots, and there's a certain stress involved in that. And well, you know, that's what happened here. The idea was to get into position so one of the groin markers over here was at kind of 45 degrees to the sun, so we had a diagonal off of it, and the sun rose too fast for me to get there and deal with it. But now the sun's up nicely. It's really illuminating these waves, and I do rather like that, but I need to change lens and maybe even put on a teleconverter to really be able to pick those up, but I think it's probably worth giving it a go. Now, I am absolutely no wave photographer, which I'm sure will become apparent in a minute, but that doesn't mean to say that you can't do things that you're not good at, because you'll never get good at anything if you don't do things you're not good at. Now I know that I should be down on the floor shooting these to keep the sky to a minimum and things like that. I'm just not prepared to. But I'm not sure that I'm even bothered, because I do have one or two snaps, and I'm not going to call them anything other than snaps, that capture this quite well. And I think also shooting towards the sun is rather interesting. I'm just tracking waves. And it's really just patterns. I don't much care what these images turn out like. This is practice. You know, it's, if there's a couple that I particularly like, then I'll put them up. But it's rather spectacular. I mean, yeah, Storm's gone, but this is still rather nice. One of the dangers of shooting all of these is something I've spoken about quite a lot before, and you're probably aware of it, but it might not stop you. The dangers is you just roll off hundreds and hundreds of images. It's a bit like the ICM problem, is in order to get a good ICM, almost certainly you need to run off quite a lot of shots, and it's the sifting through them later that's the real ball ache. I'm finding that shooting at an angle rather than straight onto them is producing better shots. I think it's largely because we get bigger perspective of how tall the wave is, and of course it's catching the light which is over there. I'm also drawn to an image looking straight down the coast here that is towards the sun. The sea's so fierce that there's so much misty haze that's being thrown up by its wash that it's just such a monochrome image. There's obviously a little bit of colour in it. Oh yeah. The sky is completely white out, but the visual regression is amazing because we've got the cliffs going down a few miles to the coast. We've got the just visible Haysborough Church, which is, I don't know, 4 miles perhaps from here, yeah, it's just yeah. And we've got this really fierce sea. I like it a lot. But I might take the teleconverter off in a minute to get just a little wider, because I need to pull things in from the edges of the screen. Image, print. It's not print yet. Mind you, it could be if you wanted it, because I'll offer any of the images that you see in this video as a print. Contact me, details down below. So in the process of changing lens, which is fiddly as hell on a beach, because obviously you don't want any spray or sand or anything in, the sun's changed, the sky has changed, and the scene has changed. So whereas before I got some shots, and I'll show you, when I was zoomed in that little bit too far, I think these shots are just a little bit too pinching in at the edges. Now I've taken the teleconverter off and get wider, I've just got a different scene. And the sea has obviously come in a bit more, but crucially the sky's opened up a little more. Earlier on there was pretty much all cloud, now there's definition. And when I say all cloud, what I mean is it was just blanket, no definition at all. Now we've got definition, and I don't know that I like it as much, I have to say. But maybe a 16:9 crop and a bit of tinkering in Lightroom, I can turn it into something that I really like. Now also, by way of introduction to the next shot, which I'm not shooting today, I shot a couple of days ago, this lifeboat building up here was just picking up some wonderful early morning light coming out of the clouds up here. You can't see my hand, and if I do that you can't see much else, and it was quite an angry sky, and it looked something like this. One of the main limiting factors in our photography is us. It's not our gear. It's not the light. It's not the time of day. It's us. It's how we work with all of these things. A lot of it is how our thoughts get in the way of a good picture. they might be the thought of, oh, I can't be bothered, oh, I'd rather stay in bed, oh, I've got the wrong lens on, oh, I don't have the right lens, or a whole bunch of other reasons. I mean, right here and now, my thought process is, right, well, I've done what I've set out to do today, and the lights changed so dramatically that the images that I was getting before are not the images that I'll get now. Well, you know, that's okay. That's what happens throughout a day. You know, it's just life. And if we all kind of gave up when things changed, then we'd probably never get the banging shots. Of course, I have other things I need to do today, so I probably will head home. But, you know, there's still epic waves out there, and they're getting closer because the tide's coming in. Should I wait around and get those? Or have I got enough? You see, the problem is that even now, well, it's digital, yes, it's instant. I can still look at the back of the screen rather than wait for a film to come back after a week or so. But the back of the screen still isn't really large enough for me to fully determine whether a composition's good enough or not. We still need to get back to the computer to really look at these images. And I think that might be what I'm going to do. If you'd like to support me in the channel, there's some buttons down below to buy me a coffee or send me a super thanks on YouTube. If you can't do that, that's absolutely fine. But just a click on the like button and a subscribe if you haven't already, that would be great. I'll leave you with a few images that have been shot on this beach over the past weeks and months, some of which you may have seen before. But it'll be a bit of a slideshow running out, so thanks for watching. I hope there's been some take home from the video. Yeah, we'll see you next week.